Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. In today's video I'm going to be covering, I've got three actually. I don't know if I'll do all three, but I've got three different Jack Daniel's single barrel rye picks. Okay, so single barrel picks, and these have started to hit some of the stores this year, so if you see one of these, maybe you'll watch this video, get some notes on it, and see if it's something you might be interested in. So obviously with Jack Daniel's, you know, the whole Lincoln County process, the way that they charcoal filter their whiskeys in order to make Tennessee whiskey, that's their sort of hallmark thing, right? And I think Jack Daniel's is sort of regarded as, I don't know, like a low quality whiskey. You know, a lot of people hear Jack Daniel's, they just think of Jack Daniel's Old Number 7, right? Just the bottom shelf Jack Daniel, you mix with Coca-Cola, Jack and Coke, whatever. That's what they think of. They don't think of these like high quality whiskeys. But Jack Daniel's actually makes some banger top shelf products, and I think that they get a bad rap because of their sort of flagship line that everyone just regards as highly obtainable and like good for mixing. But the one I'm going to dive into today is 136 proof. This is a pick that was obtained by my buddy Matt. He sent me some samples. Let's try it out. I actually have a buddy who lives pretty close to the Jack Daniel's distillery in Tennessee, and he sent me full bottle picks that he's grabbed, single barrels that he's grabbed from the distillery itself when they do like special release days. And they've always been killer bottles. And the first thing I'm noticing, oh my gosh, that is so dark. That is incredibly dark, holy cow. I mean, that is like the color of tree bark dark. It's got a little bit of a red hint to it as well, but oh my goodness, that is an extremely dark whiskey. It almost looks like maple syrup in the glass. Obviously very high proof point, but it's also, I'm not sensing like super sugary or molassesy because it is not leaving much of a coating at all on the glass, regardless of it being, you know, 136 proof. Just a very thin line on the top left behind, but not a lot of these thick runs coating the glass. Let's nose it. Oh my Lanta. Woo! Definitely get that ethanol heat right up the nostrils immediately, because this thing is not playing around. I'm pretty sure I felt some new chest hairs just immediately sprout the second I smelled this thing. But there is that hallmark sweet yellow fruit note in there that you get with a really well matured rye. Now the majority of these picks do tend to be around that 4-year mark, like the 4 to 5 year in terms of age. I do have a sample from my buddy that's the JD 12 year, so I'll have to dive into that soon too. But these are obviously more obtainable, and you're more likely to find these. Get a little bit of like an allspice note in there too, and almost like a Kansas City barbecue, like someone's pit smoking next to me. Let's try it. Oh man, what an interesting sip. Right up front, I'm getting plenty of that heat from that ethanol, that high alcohol content, that high ABV. Plenty of that heat up front, but then it quickly transitions, and I get like almost like a cotton candy sweetness, you know, like you know what I mean, like that powdery candy sweetness, which then towards the end of the palate, it kind of forms into that Kansas City barbecue, those smoky flavors, and it ends on this sweet. And the only thing I can think of that this sweetness reminds me of, my mind jumped to like pistachio pudding or like pistachio flavored ice cream, that sweet pistachio flavor, you know what I mean? Which is a really interesting sort of journey to go on with this. You know, the candy sweetness up front, Kansas City barbecue, smoky barbecue, and then into that pistachio note. Second sip kind of verifies that for me. That brief sweetness up front, followed by the smoky barbecue flavors, and it ends on that sweet pistachio note. I actually really like that. I like that quite a bit. Now I should note, it's my understanding that depending on where you're getting these picks at, you could be paying anywhere between $50 and $70 for a single barrel pick of this, which I think is pretty fair. I think obviously I'd prefer on the lower end if I could get a 4-year, you know, 4 to 5 year rye single barrel for around that $50 mark. I think that would be ideal, but I could totally understand stretching the budget and paying $70 for something like this too. I think I really like that. I would not be upset about having a full bottle of that on my shelf at all. But that proof is kicking, no doubt about it. But I really like that combination of those smoky, savory flavors kind of going into that pistachio. I think if I were to rate this, I'd rate this at a 7.2. Yeah, like that's really good. I'd be very happy to have that on my shelf, especially at that lower price point. It'd be hard to pass up. And thanks for sharing that with me, Matt. I really appreciate it. Hey, by the way, a couple of things. If you want to talk whiskey with me and other folks in our community, we have our own Discord now, our own Discord server. So if you want to get on there, get on in there. I'll leave a link to it in the description. We've got some new folks popping up in there every day now, which is great. Just feel free to share pictures of whatever bottle you're trying and what your thoughts on that bottle are, if you recommend it or not, if you want to give it a score, whatever. Just chat whiskey with folks there. It'd be great. Also, big shout out to my Patreon supporters. Thank you so much for helping funding the bottles that I review here on the channel. Really appreciate your support. And if you are a Patreon supporter, we've got 3 tiers, $5 a month, $10 a month, $25 a month. And if you are any one of those Patreon supporters at any one of those tiers, what we're going to be doing is like a live virtual tasting where I'm going to actually box up some samples and send them out to you guys. We'll all get together one night and right there on Discord, we'll have a live tasting, share our notes together with each other, and kind of see what we think about these samples of whiskey. So if you want to get involved with that, make sure you check out the Patreon link as well in the description. Hey, cheers! May you live richly and get better with age. We'll catch you in the next one. Bye-bye.